Nearly 150 beached whales have died after a mass stranding in southwestern Australia. You can read all about this, Washington Post, CNN, USA Today. Very sad story. They were only able to save a few, and they're actually a lot closer to a dolphin than what you might consider a large whale. Now, there are short fin pilot whales, and it is a part of the oceanic dolphin family, though its behavior is closer to that of a larger whale. You can see right here about the size of them in contrast to a human being down there doing some diving. Very sad story. And the first thing that came to my mind was there a sonar testing program going on out there? Was there some type of sonar being used, military testing, I should say, sonar being used to communicate? Then I started doing research on sonar and the frequencies that it emits, how loud they are, etc. And it's pretty spooky stuff. I want to get to that with you in a moment. I also want to give a huge thank you and shout out to Noble Gold Investments, also Noble Bitcoin. If you are interested in diversifying your 401k, your IRA, if you want to get into precious metals, gold, silver, if you want to get into the digital gold and silver, Bitcoin, Litecoin, if you maybe want to move some of your 401k or IRA, not the whole thing, just diversify a bit. It's really easy to do now. And Noble Bitcoin, Noble Gold Investments are pioneers in this opportunity to move and transfer part of your IRA into cryptos. It's very incredible. So definitely click the link in the video description box. They're offering specials for Leak Project listeners. Let them know Leak Project sent you. A lot of great opportunities right now. And that's what it's all about, isn't it? Opportunities. So very sad story. Let's get back to this. I want to show the location where it happened. Thanks to Google Maps, we can zoom in down here. And it's called Hamelin Bay. This is the location right here. So this area, this general vicinity, was where a fisherman discovered this mass beaching of 150 whales. So let's do the satellite imagery right here. Beautiful out there. I think I was even able to get a shot via, yeah, look at this. You can zoom in right here just so you can kind of get an idea of the area. Absolutely beautiful. Now, according to the locations, I looked here to see if there were any military bases that were close to this bay down here, and there's really nothing that close. You've got the Royal Fortress Military Museum. You've got an airport, but that's just a museum. And then up here, you've got some barracks. You've got a couple different bases, the Royal Air Force Base of Australia. But I wasn't really able to find anything. When I went into an article written Marine Mammals and Sonar, this is via Wikipedia, great article put together. It's got a lot of cross-references if you want to get into where this information came from, which is what I like to do. I like to cross-reference information. This talks about confusion between fin whales, military sonar, low-frequency sonar. But if you are an audio buff, or if you just know about how audio signals work, if you have exceptional hearing, like I'm talking incredible hearing, you might be able to hear 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz. That's a really good range. Now, if you're listening to music that is at 100 decibels, 105 decibels, that's loud. I mean, that's pretty dang loud. So when you look into this sonar, what they're doing is they're emitting extremely low frequencies with decibels of over 220 decibels. You can see right here the sonar being used in the test. This is referring to something from 1996 when there were some beached whales that were along the coast of Greece while NATO was testing an active sonar system combined with low and mid-range frequencies. And it talks about how back in the mid-90s, 96, they used a frequency of about 3 kilohertz, extremely low. Or, I'm sorry, 3 kilohertz, that's pretty high. 3 kilohertz, I was thinking 3 hertz for a second. 3 kilohertz, so 3,000 hertz. And if you can hear from 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz, that's still, that's relatively low. But look at the decibels, 226 decibels. Now, if you were swimming in that area at the time, if you were doing some deep sea fishing and you got exposed to that type of sound, that much noise, I would think that it would have a pretty serious effect on your biological makeup. And it even talks about how some of these things can create artificial bubbles, the acoustically induced bubble formation that has caused bleeding of the eyes of some of these whales and dolphins. And then you can get into the sonar linked incidents, naval sonar linked incidents. You can see here all the way back from 63. And I doubt this is all of them, folks. I mean, this is just what's listed. So I am wondering if there was any military testing going on out there at the time, or if this is more along the lines of just the weather changes. Maybe they were following the leader. They were trying to get food. They got in too close, and then it was just too late because the tides had changed. There's a lot of options. But if we can cut this down and figure out if there was some military testing in the area when this happened, and if we can also find out what these poor wells looked like, if they had any signs of exposure, if there's any bleeding of the eyes, or if you're a diver and if you dive too deep, too fast, you can get sick. You can even die because of the amount of pressure. So, and there are viable signs to see if something happened. Now, and they've found cases in the past where dolphins and whales, because of being exposed to these sonars, these low frequencies, very high decibels, it caused that same type of effect. And I'm out here in Park City, Utah. The weather right now, the sun's starting to come out. They have been spraying out here in the mountains like ridiculous. It seems like they spray, at least from what I notice when I travel, because I've been across the country. Back in 2013, I put over 60,000 miles on my car working on the road. I mean, I don't like to fly. I like to drive. It's part of the experience for me. Plus, I don't like getting herded onto an airplane and having to go through a naked body scanner and getting highly radiated in the atmosphere. But I notice in the mountainous areas, it seems like they spray a lot more. And I don't know if it's because you're closer to the sun, so they're attempting to block this, the solar rays because they think it's going to protect the people because of what they've been pitched. The world's so compartmentalized, it's tough to get into the truth. You have to go through various compartments to get pieces to put together the puzzle yourself. And that's the way the shadow factions that seem to control the majority of the world via influence of money and connections and funding these agencies and these enforcement agencies, etc. They're the ones that, okay, yeah, let's go ahead and shut that down. Oh, I got a call from the higher up, guys. Let's move on. This case is closed. Next. Just doing our job, ma'am, sir. Compartmentalization is genius for keeping the entire truth at available for a very select few. Even people in very high positions that you would think have all the answers because of a specific title that they have for a specific agency, oftentimes they're more compartmentalized than people like you and me. Because we have an opportunity to do research outside of the box. We're not stuck in certain paradigms. We're getting information from the left, from the right, from in between, from every different aspect. We are using formulas to decipher and connect what's accurate, what isn't, as best as possible. Using our own intuition combined with our intelligence from the divine. Our mind is from the divine, ladies and gentlemen. That's one gift given to us from God. Whatever you believe God is. The big God. It's a gift. Now, with that said, when we start to realize that we are in a very delicate position right now, do we want to have an opportunity to see this type of life in the future? Or do we want to, I was reading an article the other day about how they've got robotic fishes now that do just fine swimming in the water. Now, if you can take a fish mind, map it, download it in a robot, and then use that as the new fish in the water, that's the new world order. They want to take everything, download it into the cloud, and then re-upload it into a non-biological body. Or take a little bit of biology combined with some metallic features, whatever, elements, robotic type structures, graphene, maybe diamond, whatever, crystalline, some new technologies, mix it all in there together and say, hey, this is the new body. We took your old mind, uploaded it to this one, and now we can combine their minds with this one, but we're still going to have a 99.999999, or no, it's going to be 99.999% slave class dilapidated, zombified mummy state. That's what it looks like if you were to go to Japan and have a mill of short-finned pilot whale. 150, and just a few survived. The strength of the animals and the windy and possibly wet weather conditions will affect when and where we attempt to move them out to sea. This was the article that I read. I'll leave the link in the video description box. I think this was via Washington Post. So the strength of the animals, the conditions of the weather are going to affect when they can move them out to sea, according to Jeremy Chick, the incident controller for the Parks and Wildlife Service. He said, at the time, the main objective is to ensure the safety of staff and volunteers as well as the whale's greatest chance of survival. Only 15 of the 150 short-fin pilot whales stranded at Hamlin Bay are still alive. Parks and Wildlife Services staff with veterinary assistance, getting a little excited here, and support of sea search and rescue trained volunteers are working to ensure the welfare of the surviving whales. Parks and Wildlife. Now, despite their efforts, by noon, dozens more died, leaving only 15 of the stranded whales alive. By 4 p.m., that number dwindled down to 7 surviving whales. So, the terrain was really rocky, rough seas. Very sad. Very sad. So, when is enough, ladies and gentlemen? When do we say, okay, now we need to start putting more time, more effort, more money into protecting these beautiful, majestic creatures? There needs to be some kind of balance, in my opinion. And it's not looking good right now. It takes people like you, like me, like others that listen to Leak Project and many other alternative platforms that are looking for the truth, that are looking for ways to help people to keep the peace, to keep balance, not only for ourselves, ladies and gentlemen, but for our future generations, for our family, our friends. And if you believe in reincarnation, which I certainly do you want to come back to a world that is beautiful and pristine, or do you want to come back to a world like from Blade Runner 2049, which is very eerie of the near future? Look at that landscape with the way that you never really see the skies anymore. It's all geoengineered. It's all stratospheric aerosol injected. Very reminiscent of today, yet you can see that it is more of a timeline of 10, 20, 30 years down the road. Now, if you link up to the timeline of around 2025, which is when a lot of people are saying we're not going to be able to grow many crops outside anymore because most of the ozone is going to be destroyed. Independent researchers that I've had on the show that have done a lot of work with NASA and other institutions have spent thousands of dollars on equipment to test different levels of the ozone. And they're saying that if it goes on, if it continues to go the way that it is, even though companies are coming out, not companies, well, they are companies, organizations like NASA, the ozone's healed itself now. It's better than it's been in years. Well, according to independent researchers, with the way that they're doing things, there's not much time left. And in the near future, we may have to grow most of our crops inside. Will there even be an opportunity for these majestic creatures and biological ecosystems to survive? What's going to happen to the oceans? What's going to happen to the coral reefs and these beautiful sea creatures? Where are they going to go? Is it going to be like Mars? Are there oceans still on Mars, or has it all been evaporated? I mean, if the ozone dissipates and if there's huge holes in the ozone, does the water still will the water dissipate into space? Will it still recycle like it does now if there's no ozone, or if there's more of an opening than there is now? I don't know. What do you think? Are you an expert? Send me an email, leakproject@gmail.com. Do you have a solution? Do you have an option? Do you have an opportunity? Use your mind, ladies and gentlemen. The mind is mightier than the pen. Be excellent to each other. Go to Trade Genius Academy. Get that discount. Use the code Leak Project. Also go to Bitcoin Noble, Noble Bitcoin, Noble Gold Investments. Learn how to diversify into precious metals, cryptos, Litecoin, Bitcoin. Did you know that you can even take your 401 or your IRA now and you can diversify that into Bitcoin and Litecoin? If you would have done that a year ago, wow, just think about that. If you would have done that 2 years ago, oh my goodness. You'd probably be in a position now that would be even better than you are currently in, financially speaking. Just look at the numbers. That's my shameless plug. Have a beautiful day. Park City is awesome. Be the change you want to see. Oh, yeah. Almost forgot. It was so funny. Now, I'll share the story with you later.